Hey everyone, in this video we'll be discussing how vision develops and matures in infants. Unlike many of the other sensory systems, the visual system, such as components from the eye to the neural circuits, develop largely after birth, especially in the first few years of life. At birth, the visual structures are fully present yet immature in their potentials. In this video, we'll be discussing 4 major areas of visual development, such as acuity, depth perception, color sensitivity, and light sensitivity. Visual acuity is the sharpness of the eye to find details. It requires not only the muscles of the eye to be able to focus on particular objects, but other parts of the eye, such as the fovea, to project a clear image on the retina. These muscles begin to strengthen from birth to 2 months, at which point infants have great control of their eye movements. Visual acuity in newborns is very limited compared to adults, being 12 to 25 times worse than that of a normal adult. The vision of infants under 1 month of age ranges from 20/800 to 20/200. By 2 months, visual acuity improves to 20/150. By 4 months, acuity improves by a factor of 2, calculated to be 20/60. As the infant grows, the acuity reaches the healthy adult standard of 20/20 at 6 months. One major method used to measure visual acuity during infancy is by testing an infant's sensitivity to visual details, such as a set of black strip lines. Studies have shown that most 1-week-old infants can discriminate a gray field from a black striped field at a distance about 1 foot away. This means that most infants will look longer at patterned visual stimuli instead of plain, patternless stimuli. Gradually, the infants develop the ability to distinguish strips of lines that are closer together. Therefore, by measuring the width of the strips and their distance from an infant's eye, visual acuity can be measured, with detection of finer strips indicating better acuity. Newborns are exceptionally capable of face discrimination and recognition shortly after birth. Therefore, it is not surprising that infants develop strong facial recognition of their mother. Studies have shown that newborns have a preference for their mother's face after 2 weeks of birth. A 1-month-old baby scans the outer contours of the face with a strong focus on the eyes, while a 2-month-old scans more broadly and focuses on features of the face, including the eyes and the mouth. Now, let's move on to depth perception. Infants rely on several signals such as distance and kinetics to perceive depth. For instance, the fact that objects closer to the observer fill more space in our visual field than farther objects provides some cues into depth perception for infants. Evidence has shown that newborns have poor coordination of the eyes. Newborns' eyes move in the same direction only about half of the time. Strengthening of the eye muscle control is positively correlated to achieve depth perception. Human eyes are formed in such a way that each eye reflects the stimulus at a slightly different angle, thereby producing 2 images that are processed in the brain. These images provide the essential visual data regarding the 3D features of the external world. Therefore, an infant's ability to control his eye movement and converge on one object is critical for developing depth perception. One of the important discoveries of infant depth perception is thanks to researchers Dr. Gibson and Dr. Walk. Researchers Gibson and Walk developed an apparatus called the visual cliff that can be used to investigate visual depth perception in infants. In short, infants were placed on a centerboard to one side, which contained an illusionary steep drop, which was called the deep side, and another which contained a platform of a centerboard, which was called the shallow side. In reality, both sides were covered in glass and safe for infants to crawl on. From their experiment, Gibson and Walk found that the majority of infants ranging from 6 to 14 months would not cross from the shallow side to the deep side due to their innate sense of fear to heights. From this experiment, Gibson and Walk concluded that by 6 months, an infant has developed a sense of depth. In regards to color sensitivity, infants' ability to see color improves steadily over the first year of life due to strengthening of the cones of the eye. It is generally accepted across all current research that infants prefer high contrast and bold colors at early stages of infancy rather than low saturated colors. One study found that newborn infants look longer at checkered patterns of white and colored stimuli, including red, green, and yellow, than they did at uniform white color. However, infants fail to discriminate blue from white checkered patterns. It was found that 3-month-old infants preferred red and yellow to the blue and green stimuli, while adults preferred the opposite. However, both adults and infants preferred colored stimuli over non-colored stimuli. According to a study, it was suggested that infants had a general preference for colored stimuli over non-colored stimuli at birth. However, infants were not able to distinguish between the different colored stimuli until 3 months of age. The threshold for light sensitivity is much lower in infants compared to adults. From birth, the pupils of an infant's eye remain constricted to limit the amount of entering light. In regards to pupil dimensions, the newborn's pupil grow from approximately 2.2 millimeters to an adult length of 3.3 millimeters. A 1-month-old infant can detect light threshold only when it's approximately 50 times greater than that of an adult. By 2 months, the threshold decreases measurably to about 10 times greater than that of the adult. The increase in sensitivity is the result of lengthening of photoreceptors and further development of the retina. Therefore, postnatal maturation of the retinal structures has led to strong light adaptation for infants. To learn more about infant vision development, please check out my wiki page.